Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Fantasy here on the Benched channel on YouTube. If you're listening on any of the audio platforms, thanks for joining us there as well. Studs and duds today for week number 7. Looking back on a pretty monstrous week of fantasy football, pretty boisterous week in fantasy football. It was a really fun one. AJ, how did you do?
Well, oh, you have it up.
This might be the single greatest fantasy day I've ever seen in my life.
So I bring this up probably every week because it's the only person I talk to. I just try to always explain to my wife what's going on. She just doesn't get it. I'm like, babe, I'm having the greatest fantasy week I've ever seen from anyone ever.
A man gets this just a couple times in his life.
Yeah. I'm like, I gotta soak this one in because I put up 230 points despite Nico Collins, who, I mean, I traded mid-game.
To me.
Like, look, man, one of these things is not like the other. You got to get out of here.
I mean, just a monster. You see that there. I mean, double-barreled shotgun quarterbacks in our league, and Hurts and Mahomes. And that's the thing about this team is that I don't see much of this change. I mean, maybe Devonta Adams cools off, when Puka comes back. Other than that, I mean, it's pretty much number one options in everyone's team.
So, and I just traded with you Nico Collins for AJ Brown.
Right.
Which, I mean, after watching that offense last night, I was just like, I don't see this. I don't see that ceiling or floor from Nico. And you can, I mean, AJ Brown's very volatile as well, but I feel like I'm getting the same guy in just a better offense.
Yeah, I'm in a much different position. I'm looking toward next year, so I think Nico's a good stash away.
Yeah, that was a nice trade. I got texts from other owners. I was like, man, that was great for both of you.
Yeah, I think it wins. I think it's a win for both of us. But yeah, man, congrats on just a monstrous fantasy day. That's always a good feeling heading into the week. AJ, let's get into studs and duds here. 2 studs each, 2 duds each. Who you
got? First stud, Joe Flacco. And it's incredible, like, just the fact. So when he first got traded to Cincinnati, my thought was, how can you mid-season change franchises, change playbooks, change offensive philosophies, change from having, the crutch of a great defense to a bottom 2 defense in the league? How can you do that and find success? And this dude is just a pro. I mean, he stepped right in. So his first week with the team, he 45 attempts, 29 completions, 219 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And then this week, 31 completions, 342 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And then he had a big rush there. His rushing numbers look weird because at the end he was taking those knees like 5 yards back to take some time off the clock. But he finished with right around 26 fantasy points. That is a QB1 from Joe Flacco.
Yeah,
from 40-year-old Joe Flacco. 2 weeks into a brand new team mid-season. You just don't see this. We just had a joke in our league. One of the owners said selling Joe Flacco might have been the butterfly effect in this league. So, I mean, if you're having quarterback struggles, if Jaden Daniels is not going to be back, I'm not going to go pick up Marcus Mariota. I'm going to pick up the guy who's going to be chucking it to Jamar Chase 21 times a game and T. Higgins and dumping it off to Chase Brown.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Flacco had a monstrous game, and Aaron Rodgers as well. That was just that old man game was just fun to watch. The icy hot bowl is what they're calling it. Moving forward, I'm not sold yet, AJ. That was a pretty terrible Steelers secondary.
Yeah,
but I mean, I think it at least is a good streaming option quarterback, and I still think the weapons are sell high.
The thing I like though is
kind of what Flacco does.
They've got the Jets next. They've got Pittsburgh again. They've got Baltimore still twice in that defense. They've got Miami. In the playoffs, they've got Baltimore, Miami, and Arizona.
Very nice.
In the fantasy playoffs.
Very nice. Yeah, that's definitely a stud of the week, though. Joe Flacco balling out with his new team. Looks really weird in a Bengals uniform. My first stud, AJ, is a guy we don't bring up much on any kind of fantasy conversations, even though we love him as a player. Devonta Smith. Eagles wide receiver, the Slim Reaper, as many people know him. 9 catches on 11 targets, 183 yards. I think those are all career highs except the targets. 1 touchdown, of course, 33-plus PPR points, at least in our league. Currently wide receiver 11 before Monday Night Football. So
that's so shocking.
Yeah, we'll see where he is after Monday Night Football because there's some pretty good performances there as well. But a 79-yard touchdown in this one, 65 yards in the air. So that deep threat that with Jalen Hurts, that Jalen Hurts connection, Jalen Hurts does that well. And so that's something I could see keeping up. 7th in receiving yards on the season, AJ, is Devonta Smith.
Wow.
We knew the talent is there. And as the Eagles have begun throwing the ball more with kind of an anemic running game, Devonta Smith's a nice option. A lot of these numbers really surprised me, specifically wide receiver 11 and 7th in receiving yards.
I think the thing with Devonta is just, he's going to show up.
Yeah.
He rarely misses time. Yes, you're going to have some games where he had 2 catches, but then you're going to have moments like you did this past weekend. And maybe not to that degree, but he's just a good we talk about it all the time. If AJ Brown wasn't there, Devonta Smith is a top 10 receiver in the league. He just has that kind of talent. And just the fact that AJ Brown is there opens up so much for him. And I think, and most people think, I think this passing attack for the Eagles is going to continue for the rest of the season. So a guy like Devonta Smith, for where we drafted him, could end up being a league winner.
Yeah, I think probably at this point you just got to. Wide receiver 11 is a wide receiver 1. I don't know if I'm there with him as far as consistently, but I think at least a flex, set it, forget it, and a pretty decent wide receiver 2 that you could feel good about. That's my stud. What else you
got? I'm gonna go with way to go, bravo, we're here, Travis Hunter.
Yes.
Okay, so he played 67 offensive snaps and 14 defensive snaps. That's what we want to see. That's what I think he was drafted for. That's what I think they envisioned when they drafted him. We are witnessing a Brian Thomas Jr. fall off, and I believe you have something to say about that. Mm-hmm. Unlike anything I've really seen for the level that a receiver came in as a rookie to their second year, and it's just the perfect opportunity for Travis Hunter to step right in and command more and more attention every week. He had 8 catches for 101 yards and a touchdown.
Travis Hunter looked great as a receiver. I agree. This where he needs to stay. He needs to stay a full-time receiver. They need him really badly. All right, I have one more stud before we move on to our duds this week, and it's Oronde Gadsen.
Oronde, yeah.
Oronde Gadsen, 5 catches on 9 targets, 164 yards, 1 touchdown, a 79% snap share, 29 points of PPR, 4 receptions, AJ, of at least 20 yards. He was a big play machine. Last week, 7 catches on 8 targets, 68 yards, with a 75% target share. The reason I bring that up is that it's so encouraging to see it because this week, Quentin Johnston's back, Ladd McConkey balled out. You kind of had a more realistic cast of characters and still balled out 2 weeks in a row now.
Yeah, so the number one thing is the snap share's gone up every single week. 26, 48, 54, 75, and now 79%. But it's crazy. You'd think with all the receivers healthy and playing well that there's just no more room, but maybe the Chargers, they're down Amarian Hampton and Najee Harris. So they're moving the ball through the air. Capitalize off of that opportunity and go get a guy. This is the number 1 waiver ad. It's got to be
by far. Most yards by a Chargers rookie tight end in a game ever, and most yards by a rookie tight end in a game since 1985. Oronde Gadsen, massive numbers for him. Let's move on to duds now. AJ, get us started.
Yeah, this is disappointing. We mentioned a little bit earlier. But Nico Collins on Monday Night Football, obviously he had the concussion about midway through the game. I think that was a little bit into the third quarter. Yeah. But up until that point, the dude had 10 targets. Yeah. So they were trying to get him the ball. The problem is this offense is so just stagnant. It is so hard to watch. So he finished with 4 catches on 10 targets. The 4 catches resulted in 27 yards. It's a full game's worth of targets that you end up with 6.7 fantasy points. Yeah. And this is to no fault of his own. He's a star receiver. But CJ Stroud looks indecisive. He looks anxious. He looks uncomfortable. The offensive line is absolutely terrible. And then the types of plays they're calling mixed or combined with that level of offensive line is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, they're calling plays as if they have a good O-line. It just, for me personally, with Nico Collins, last night, Monday Night Football was enough. That was all I needed to see. I mean, I had already been closely watching this team as I had started the season with CJ Stroud. I've had Nico Collins all season. So I've been watching this Texans team. And last night was all I needed to see. I was done after that. So just a rough outlook for Nico. Might miss next week with the concussion because it's going to be a short week. They play Monday night.
Right.
We know how that goes with concussion protocol. So it looks like he might miss the matchup against San Francisco. Then he comes back and gets to play Denver and Patrick Surtain. So a rough couple of weeks outlook for Nico. You just hope that the offense gets better as the season goes there in Houston, but doesn't look like it to me.
It's arrow down for me across the board for all Houston, everything, because of the O-line. Nothing's going to work with that O-line like that, and you don't fix O-lines mid-season. That's just not – I've never seen that really effectively done, especially coming from this far bad, even to being respectable. It's just not going to happen. The play calling, you're right, does not help. A lot of deep routes, not a lot of easy options for Stroud. A lot of backyard-type football, just Stroud running around. I'm most worried for Stroud's health. He got beat up yesterday, and it's just not an offense that's going to work. It's also an offense that they haven't really chosen what they want to do. Nick Chubb's playing a bunch in the first half, and then it's all Woody Marks in the second half, and the receivers behind Nico Collins. Sometimes it's Noel. Toward the end, they got in Higgins. For some reason, Braxton Berrios is on the field a lot. It's kind of just a mess as far as what they're trying to do, or even changing what they're trying to do. It's like each week changes. Like, what are we going to do this week? We're going to try to be a ground and pound team with Nick Chubb, even though we don't have the O-line for it. And then they get down to the red zone, and they hand it off a couple times like they have any advantage in the trenches. It's just a mess of an offense. And, I would punt on Nico Collins this year for sure. If you have a redraft league, I think his name's strong enough, you'll get something for him. But I don't know if any of these weapons are doing very much of anything this year with this O-line. Not ready to make a judgment on the offensive coordinator yet until we get a good offensive line in here. But I just hope Stroud stays healthy this year, and we can maybe try to run it back again next year because this year's not happening. Speaking of – sorry, good.
No, what you said about the offensive coordinator, I fully agree. It's just you've got the terrible offensive line, and then guys don't know what they're doing. Did you see that like misread handoff to Woody Marks?
Yep. I
don't even know whose fault that was between the three that were involved: CJ Stroud, Woody Marks, and I forget the other running back that was in there. That was, I was terrified. I was like, dude, CJ Stroud's about to get killed because he doesn't know where to go with the football. So there's just bad juju with the Houston Texans all around.
Yeah, it was also a terrible matchup. Also,
where's Joe Mixon?
Joe Mixon's not playing this year. I doubt it. It's also a terrible matchup. What Seattle's doing on defense, it was just there's no chance for it to anything that happened last night. Speaking of bad years, bad starts, and just bad juju, Brian Thomas Jr. is my dud for this week. Dud again. 3 catches, 7 targets, 31 yards. Another really bad drop. Weirdest thing about this game, and kind of something to keep an eye on, saw his snap share drop to a season low 66%. I don't think they're going to start not playing Brian Thomas Jr., but that's just something to keep an eye on if that's a thing. He is coming off a monster week, 23 points per game. And so that's both frustrating and hopeful that the elite receiver is still in there. He's been up and down this year, coming off 3 straight weeks of double digits, that kind of thing, but still not the consistent, dominant receiver that we all expected coming into this year. The beginning of this year looks a lot like the beginning of last year, to be honest. So I think there's a lot of hope still in Brian Thomas Jr. Like, I'm a lot higher on him than Nico Collins. And we saw Jake London do the same thing yesterday as far as like with the drop-off. It's just it's disappointing with Brian Thomas Jr. I think hopefully with Travis Hunter emerging as a receiver that he kind of settles in a little bit more. It's not really all on him. The secondary receiver isn't Christian Kirk or Parker Washington, who apparently can't catch, and all these other guys who really can't really step up to that role. I'm hoping now with Travis Hunter there settled in, coverage is a little more evened out across the board, and Brian Thomas Jr. just keeps making plays. But as far as yesterday, total bust.
Do you know my hot take with Brian Thomas?
What's that?
It's Mac Jones. It was the Mac Jones show last season. Week 13 is when Mac Jones took over as the quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And week 13 on for Brian Thomas, fantasy points 18.7, 16.6, 32.5, 28.2, 23.9, 17.3. That's all with Mac Jones. Right. I just think he and Mac Jones had that connection. And I'm not going to deny the talent. He's a very talented receiver. But I think it just in the way that he was putting up numbers with Trevor Lawrence and without Trevor Lawrence, and it just continues again with Trevor Lawrence, there's just something weird. He just played very, very well with Mac Jones, and he doesn't play well with Trevor Lawrence, and we're seeing that continue this year. That's just my weird, maybe it's a coincidence, but
yeah, I mean, he was definitely more consistent with Mac Jones. The big games were still there with Trevor Lawrence. I mean, a couple of top 10 finishes, one top 2 finish. Mm-hmm. And so the numbers are still there without Mac Jones, but the consistency is not there. And I think that is a Trevor Lawrence thing. He is the picture of inconsistency. And I think you could directly bring that back to Brian Thomas's production. But yeah, we'll see what happens here. I think they're still learning the offense, still figuring it out. I definitely don't drop him or anything weird like that. I would start looking at trades for this year because it's halfway through the year. And so in a redraft league, how long do you want to wait for someone to turn it around? I think if he has another big game, maybe next year or next week, he very well could. I would start to see what you get from for your stretch here down and into the playoffs. Maybe someone a little more consistent. You got another
on the flip side, though, do you think he's a good buy low candidate? Like if you're looking to buy,
it's a gamble. Like it's a gamble because I bought low in a dynasty league, but buying low in a redraft league, you need that to turn around quickly.
Yeah,
and I don't know what you've seen about the Seahawks. The Jaguars to think that their offense is anywhere close to that kind of like epiphany wake up turnaround, especially for Brian Thomas Jr. I think they're still figuring a lot of stuff out. They don't know what they want to do. ETN's not really getting the ball anymore. Bashal Tootin, remember that guy? Like he's not really a part anymore. Brenton Strange is injured. I think they're figuring out a lot of stuff still. And so to answer your question, no, I wouldn't buy low in a redraft league on Brian Thomas Jr. this year. It's just they got to figure it out there. Yeah, I wouldn't. You got a dud?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the lowest buy that you can, as low as you can get.
Who's that?
it's Jets quarterback Justin Fields.
Yeah.
I mean, this is it. We're looking at the funeral. Funny thing though, Aaron Glenn still is refusing to name a QB1 this week after benching him last week. Just everything around. Honestly, this is gonna be the Jets as a whole, not just Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Poor Breece Hall, who has so much talent. and you thought, I believe we brought up his name just in passing. I may have brought it up on the Sunday morning show for him being a good option in this game with no Garrett Wilson. He only played 54% of snaps. He had 11 attempts.
They're going to trade him.
I don't know.
They're going to trade him, I think. Yeah.
They have to trade him. I
think that's the easy answer for the reduced snaps.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure he wants to just completely get out of there. I know he tweeted something cryptic. Literally anywhere would be a better situation than the New York Jets right now because he's not even being used as an RB1. So you could say like, oh, well, Philly's not going to be a better situation. Saquon's there. I think Philly would use him better and more efficiently. Not that that's a realistic trade destination, but I'm saying for the argument of this being the worst possible situation he could be in. You don't have a quarterback. Just Garrett Wilson's hurt. If you have any Jets, if you can get anything for Breece Hall or Garrett Wilson in a redraft, you go do it right now. Yeah. If you're in Dynasty, you have the hope of Breece Hall getting traded. You have the hope of Garrett Wilson getting traded. Because I think the hope of him getting a quarterback is after this many seasons. I don't know how you continue to play that game. So it's just so bleak. Poor Jets fans. I can't imagine. I honestly can't imagine. You're on top of the world 2 years ago with Aaron Rodgers, and now here you are, 0-7.
Ever since Aaron Rodgers running out with that flag, literally everything is downhill since. A quick Dynasty note here. I know someone's played Dynasty. I I would go and grab Breece Hall. If you're not going to be competitive this year, I would grab Breece Hall. I would grab Garrett Wilson, even though I don't think he's going to be as available. I would go sneak Braylon. I did this week. I snuck Braylon Allen into my IR. Breece Hall's not going to be around. If there's anything we've learned this year, the Jets are not in on Breece Hall. And most likely coming into next year, Braylon Allen's RB1. Obviously, his talent's through the roof. I think he's still just like 22 years old, super young. So
he might
kind of
be
just a note there.
21. That's
he's very. I have him right here. Let me look real quick. Braylon Allen is 21 years old. I would sneak him onto your IR spot, something like that. Just a quick dynasty. It's always fun to stash something like that for dynasty, see what happens in the offseason. Drake London's my other one. 4 catches on 10 targets, 42 yards. Falcons had less than 300 yards of offense and just under 230 yards of passing. And so that affected Drake London for sure. Kind of a surprise performance overall against the Niners. We expected them to dominate. We expected these weapons to dominate. Everyone else kind of ate in the passing game except Drake London. So maybe chalk this up just a weird game. But definitely if you were relying on him, which most teams are, as a wide receiver 1, maybe a wide receiver 2, he was an absolute dud for you this week. He's coming off a 30-point performance last week. So there's no panic here. It's just, it happens to every receiver. Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, every receiver is going to do this. And so you never panic on something like this. And but this week, he was a dud for you if you start Drake London anywhere in your lineup.
Yeah, there's a weird a little bit of a common factor, and I wouldn't read too much into it, but when Darnell Mooney doesn't play, Drake London is getting all the targets. Every target. When Darnell Mooney just came back, they're spreading the ball a little bit around a little bit more. But I wouldn't read too deep into that. Drake London is still that dude, still going to be going to finish as a top 10 receiver in fantasy this year. So I wouldn't be too worried. Just one of those days, 10 targets, still 10 targets.
Right. I think to that point though, it might be an opportunity if because Drake, Darnell Mooney just came back. Pitts is a real part of this offense right now. Bijan's always going to be getting some kind of work out of the backfield as a receiver. If they're going to maybe put Drake London on the back burner here for a couple weeks, or maybe inconsistent weeks as they're figuring out how all these weapons work together, might be an opportunity here to go get Drake London for some discouraged owner or some owner that's panicking with Drake London. But those are our studs and duds for week number 7, AJ. And also check out our waiver wire video also on the channel here. Bye.
Peace.